me know when you're good to go.
So just go.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Board of Selectmen have just come out of a non-public session for RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2C, tax-related. And we will now begin our regular meeting. Mr. Burnell is absent, excused for this meeting. We've gone through the Pledge of Allegiance. We have the consent calendar next to consider. We have on the consent calendar the minutes of April 28th, accounts payable manifest in the amount of $38,035.45. Payroll manifest in the amount of $43,089.04. Treasurer delegation forms, of which there are 3 of them. Elderly exemption approval, 1 of them. Elderly exemption recertification approval, 32. Elderly exemption recertification denial, 5. We have a tax warrant, which is the first billing. And the land use change tax warrant for map 5, lots 261, 262, 263, 264, 265, 266, and 267. Are there any items that the board wishes to remove from the consent calendar? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion to approve the consent calendar by Mr. Lemire. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Bork. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0. Items for, requests for items on any other business. Are there any items the board wishes to bring up on any other business? I have one, which is concerning Pennachuck Water. It will be very short. Anything else? Okay, hearing none then, we will move on with the agenda. Policy reviews. This evening we've got policy reviews for cash receipts, conference and meeting, financial reconciliation, fraud, fund balance, and investments. So why don't we begin with cash receipts?
Cash receipts. We had looked at this last week, and there was a question that had come up about solid waste receipts, and said I would follow up on that. The current policy has been that receipts paid at solid waste will be on request, and when Dave and I talked about it, we traced back to that, ended up in the policy, generally because people don't want receipts. So from the customer's angle, if you could recall maybe 2 instances in the past year. Fees are paid in multiple locations. Some are paid up top and some are paid down below. So we would need 2 logbooks. So operationally it's possible, which I think was sort of the other essence of the question. So if the board's preference is to implement that, we certainly can.
Mr. Bork, could you please go over that? I think it was your point that you brought up last week where you wanted to consider that.
Yeah.
If you could kind of refresh that for some of us here.
Yeah, my point was if, it's just a checks and balance type of thing, right? And we went over the new fee schedule. The new fee schedule includes a lot more than what we previously charged now. So, again, knowing that we take checks, with the new fee schedule coming out, me personally, I think it would be a great idea just to, give every person a receipt. And again, it's a checks and balance, for me anyway, and that's what we discussed last time.
Any thoughts from other members of the board on Mr. Bork's point?
I agree. When I thought about it, I think it was, I know it's not something that is popular nowadays, especially with the younger generation, but I think it serves a purpose.
Can I ask why we would reduce the propane tank fee?
Okay, we're not on fees right as of yet. We're on
No, we're
the,
talking about the whole deal. Go ahead.
no, we're on the policy review, which is for
Yep.
the policy for cash receipts.
Okay.
We will get, last meeting, we made a decision to postpone discussion on the fees until Mr. Brunel was back.
Okay.
But that will be coming up. Any thoughts, any other thoughts? I personally also agree with Mr. Bork. I think it's a good idea. I think it makes sense. If the people don't want the receipts, then they don't have to take them. I mean, we're not gonna force it on them, but,
At
I
least
think
we have a
that-
copy of it.
So, Jason, you want a motion to amend the procedure, or do you want to just go ahead? You've heard the majority of the board present seems to be in favor of issuing the receipts. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, if you want to motion to approve, subject to me writing that language, that way I'm not writing it on the fly, but I know what you're looking for.
Is there a motion that we have?
So moved, Mr. Chair, to approve the policy as amended.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lemire and a second by Mr. Bork. Discussion on the motion?
Yeah, my question's gonna be this. What do we do right now when somebody refuses a receipt?
It just stays in the, we don't offer, in Dave's case, we just don't offer it. I mean, a receipt is provided upon request. We have a log system where we log the inbound checks that are coming. We're not gonna shove a receipt down people's throats. So like, in the case here, we'll write it out, because we have sort of the multi-parts, so we'll have the log of it. If the customer chooses not to have a copy, well then, that copy gets recycled.
Okay. I think we need a policy on policy making.
If you would like to draft that, Mr.
That's
Perry?
that's really where the question was going down to.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 400. Next policy is on conferences and meetings.
All right.
You were given a couple concerns concerning the wording of the document, which is the use of the term meeting.
Yep.
And I think you were going to work on that to change it.
Yep. We adjusted to this, the intent of this has really been conference trainings and seminars, not sort of the garden variety meetings that many of us are involved in for our, professional obligation. So, I adjusted some of that language there. The other piece, again, is to make sure that we're talking about training, seminars, programs, or conferences that require overnight lodging and/or transportation with a one-way distance of 125 miles or more. This notification piece of, I really don't need paperwork every time somebody's going and taking a class at Hudson Fire Department or going up to Concord for something. I chose, I didn't pull 125 completely miles, completely out of the air. That was based on a one-way trip between Litchfield and Whitefield. Whitefield being the furthest routine location we see for training, for things that are held at the Mountain View. So that was the logic I used for that.
How far is that attached?
Attach is probably further.
Okay,
It's in
any,
June.
Yeah, I know.
so you've made those changes in the document?
Yeah, well, let me go to, yeah, so those are all in there. One piece that I punted on, because I had a comment, when you go down to second page about use of vehicles and paying mileage, and there's a comment in the existing policy, employees are expected to utilize rental or town vehicles for travel whose expenses would exceed the rental cost and mileage reimbursement to attend the meeting. And one of the comments I had received was suggest we place a dollar amount to ensure that this is looked at before someone uses their car for travel and rental would be cheaper. And I said, okay, now let me go see if I can figure out how to transform that into something. And I was trying to find a decent benchmark for that, or the policy needs some number that's updated annually or becomes outdated. And then figuring out what number we want to use for the efficiency loss of coordinating a rental car versus personal vehicle. And then kind of part two, as I started looking for standards, we use GSA per diem for everything else. I'm like, oh, maybe the answer's there. The answer was not there, but they did make they do have an interesting standard that mileage is paid at 1/2 the standard rate when a personal vehicle is used when an alternate vehicle is available. So, to go back to the original question was figuring out how do we quantify the statement of you should be using a rental car if a rental car is cheaper.
Okay.
And do you want to put a number in? What kind of approach do you want on that? So I guess that's where I was bouncing it back, looking for some additional.
I think the only point that was being made in that comment was that all we should be taking a look at is, rather than have somebody automatically head out with their own personal car and paying the GSA mileage rate or the IRS mileage rate, the point, I guess what I'm thinking is that that should go, and somebody should take a look and say, okay, can I get a car for like $30 a day? If you're gonna travel X number of miles, or keep the car overnight, or whatever the case may be, there may be a problem with that as well. But I'm just saying, whatever's cheaper for the town.
Yeah.
But who takes responsibility at that point?
To do what?
Under insurance and all? Because
Well,
as the town stands right now, if we let somebody get in, say Kevin's Explorer, and drives down the road and has an accident, that's now our responsibility. But if they drive down the road in their own vehicle and they have an accident, it's not our responsibility. So
Well, I think,
who becomes responsible when we get a rental
Our
car?
responsibility is a little fuzzier on that case.
Right.
It's a shared responsibility. And our insurance will pay a portion of that.
Right, but we're not fronting the whole cost. This was a conversation we had years ago, when we were talking about getting rid of the whole mileage and just having a vehicle sit out there for everybody to use. We decided against it and decided to just keep the mileage, because it was easier in the long run. It was also a recommendation of our former council.
what's the board want to do? Any ideas?
I personally think that we should just simplify it and keep the mileage. Because I remember that conversation, Steve. And the unfortunate part of it is you don't always have a vehicle available. And at some point, if we're sending this person to the conference, I don't think we should be requiring them to go get a rental vehicle, because that's a hassle in itself. In addition, it goes on to their insurance and their driver's license. I think if we're mandating or if we're sanctioning someone to go to a conference, I just think it's a lot simpler, and we budget for mileage to do that.
I mean, the way it's worked lately, as long as I've ever known, it always seems to work.
Yeah.
Because I know the fire department, if they're gonna send 5 guys, they'll pile in the Explorer and all go together, and
Yeah.
it's the easiest way to go, it's the cheapest way to go, and people seem to be pretty responsible about doing that on their own.
The only problem is you sometimes get a $250 bill when you could have rented a vehicle for $60.
I guess the question is, how often do we get that, right? The $250 bill, not very often, right?
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare. I guess, I have no problem retaining the existing sentence as it is in the policy. I think it's a worthwhile check, because every now and again, there are going to be times where the circumstances, hey, maybe I should double check and could I rent it? And so the reminder that if there is a better deal, you should be looking at the better deal, because it forces the conversation. I'm not sure, that's what I struggled with, was how making it more rigid and defined may be more of a challenge than it's worth. But having that reminder, I think, is healthy to people, because there may be cases where it is a better deal.
See, and I wouldn't even mind, putting a threshold where you reimburse a certain percentage after a certain amount of miles, a certain threshold, then you only reimburse mileage at half after a certain amount of round trip miles. And if you go beyond that, I'm just grasping at straws, but rather than try to have a rental car, especially here, there's no car rental agency anywhere around here, you know?
There's a bunch of them just up the road.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's just,
Or what I used to do is rent them out in Nashua.
yeah, but if I understand, I just,
So, as to Jason's point then, leave it the way it is?
I'd
Are
say
you
leave it
comfortable
the
with
way it
that?
Keep it simple.
Okay.
I agree with you.
I would.
So are the other changes then, Jason, if you leave it the way it is, are there other changes that you made in here
That's what I'm just looking to see.
excuse me,
There was just a question of clarification on expenses where, under expenses for spouse, other guests, administrator, department head may occasionally be required to pay for meals for others. The question is this in effect only for travel days? What about a group of employees travel together? My response was, I'd say it was applicable for travel days, because that's all that this policy refers to. And if employees are traveling together, our employees get per diem, so if there's anything shared, it'll be aggregated out of that per diem cost.
Okay.
And
That's
those
it?
were the only other things I had.
Okay, then all the changes that you needed to have made in here for the issue of travel versus meeting versus
Yep.
whatever are set. Is there a motion on this document?
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the document. Is there a second?
Hold a second.
A second by Mr. Bork. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 400. Let me see, what's the next document? Financial reconciliation.
I have no comments received, and I have no recommended changes.
No, I think it's fine, personally, the way it is. Is there anybody who has any comments on this document, or concerns or issues with it?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve it as written.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr.
Bork.
Bork. I was gonna give it to Mr. Perry, but I figured out,
I didn't use
he
my
used the
words, he
hand,
did.
he used the hand gesture.
Oh,
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 400. Next document is fraud policy.
I think this one has been pretty solid over the past couple of years. Again, I've received no comments. I think it's pretty straightforward. Luckily, this is not a policy that we need to be using on a regular basis,
Luckily,
which is a nice spot to be in. I do want to note that we are slated for this format was approved in 2012, was reviewed by the board in 13. The way that this policy reads, you review it annually, and we do a reissue upon rewrite of policy or every 3 years if no other policy. Nothing else requires a reissue. So, unless we have wholesale changes we end up making today, we are slated for the reissue recertification in 2015. This is when we cycle out to all.
so you don't need a motion to approve this?
I should have a motion, just as we've done for the others, just
Oh,
that
okay.
you've reviewed it.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Perry. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 400. Next policy is fund balance. The ever popular fund balance
The
policy.
ever-popular fund balance policy. This is one, you may recall, we put this into place 2 years ago, and part of this, the largest part of this was about accounting changes with the way that your year-end fund balance needed to be classified by GFOA. There is the categories of non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, unassigned, and those are sort of the government finance officer terms. So the front end of this is really kind of boilerplate that satisfies those requirements. We have a statement in here that, and this is where Selectman Byron and I get to battle back and forth each year. Top of the second page, minimum of unassigned fund balance. The board will strive to maintain an appropriate level of unassigned fund balance in its general fund, equal to 8 to 12% of general fund operating appropriations, which includes town, school, county operating appropriations. I have no.
I was thinking probably 4 to 6, but
No. No.
so is there
We're in a healthy spot right now.
any changes you can see in here, Jason?
I had nothing else that came up. I mean, this one is really not very operational. This is more sort of accounting policy template, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second? I'll second. We have a motion and a second, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0. And, let me see here. And the last policy is the investment policy.
Investment policy.
And
The,
this is pretty much boilerplate.
this is largely boilerplate. What we're allowed to invest in is set by state law, and town treasurer authority to invest is pretty narrow. You're not going off in many speculative investments here.
So the correction in under authority, we just need to remove that.
You're right. The one technical change I had here is, once upon a time, this has had the Appendix A as the prevailing RSA. And so every time we looked at it, we had to go check and make sure there were updates and paste in the new law. I think, we're all capable of finding the law, so I'd suggest that maybe we take the RSA being part of our policy out.
So in other words, remove both RSAs at the end of the policy.
Right, yeah, I would be removing the appendix.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the investment policy as amended, removing reference to and the appendix itself.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with the amendment of the removal of the appendix. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Mr. Bork. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0. Just one point, Jason, on this.
Yep.
Do the trustees of the various groups, the cemetery, as well as the trustee of trust funds, have an investment policy?
So the cemetery trustees don't, because they do not hold any funds. The trustees of trust funds have a separate investment policy.
They hold funds, don't they, in
No.
terms of maintenance of graves?
No,
No,
those are on
trustees hold
deposit, those are on deposit with the trustees of trust funds.
Okay.
Part of your transition that you went through here is the associations used to hold that money, so they are all with the trustees of trust funds.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and then the
Trustees of-
trustees of trust funds have a policy that is similar to this policy, but not identical to this policy, because they have some different standards they have for investment, and, some of their issues are, they're allowed to hold individual stock that we aren't allowed to hold here, so.
No, but they still are supposed to, by law, have an investment
Oh,
policy.
they have one.
Okay.
They have one.
Okay, so that that updates all of the policies, is that correct?
I was just looking to see.
What
I
about
didn't-
the purchasing policy?
I was looking to see, I know we have purchasing left, and let me see if I have any more. Records retention, that's an exciting one. I think those are the two we have.
Now,
So,
do we require an annual review of records retention policy?
I don't think, let me look and see. That one actually will be coming back to you because we actually have some recommended changes in that one.
Okay.
We have been making a pretty concerted effort to deal with some of the records. If you haven't,
And just to make you aware, there was a work being done by the legislature to change the investment options of towns.
good. I don't think we have anything baked into the records retention policy for annual review, and that's mainly because the list is,
It's not gonna change.
the list is created by state law, other than a couple pieces we have at our own discretion. So I think those are the two you have next time.
Okay. Next item then on the agenda, I would like to open it up for public input. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board? Please note that the time is 6:46. As there is no one here to indicate their desire, we will move on then to other business. Upcoming meeting schedule, Mr. Hope.
Our next regularly scheduled meeting will fall on Memorial Day. I would suggest that we defer that meeting, and then looking at adjusting our schedule for June, and look to meet June 2nd, 16th, and 30th. It's a 5-Monday month, and then resume back to the 2nd and 4th Mondays in July.
So the next meeting would have been Memorial Day, which is the 26th.
Yep.
And you're suggesting meeting the 2nd, the 9th of June, and the 23rd of June?
How about the 2nd and the 16th and the 30th?
See, that's the trouble. If we kept it, I wouldn't mind doing 2 weeks in a row, but why would, because we're getting off from the 2nd and the 4th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just do the
Is
second
there-
and the fourth?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wouldn't mind doing the 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
What are you suggesting, Mr. Lemire, then move the meeting of the 9th to the 2nd?
No, if you wanna move the meeting of the 26th to the 2nd, and
Well,
then,
that's what I'm
and then go back on a regular
Oh, okay.
9th and 23rd schedule.
Okay, so you're looking at 2/9/23.
2/9 and 23.
Okay. I think what Mr. Perry, if I understood him correctly, was saying is move the 26th to the 2nd, skip the 9th, and then go with the 23rd, right?
Just go with the normal meeting schedule. Second and fourth.
And just skip.
Yeah, just skip the
Yeah.
26th meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. How about if we do that, and then if there is business that we have to attend to, we can have a special meeting.
Do you foresee anything that's of utmost importance?
No.
I agree with Steve, we could just,
No,
Well,
I
we
mean,
just-
I just, as long as everybody's comfortable with, I mean, it is nearly a month between meetings.
That's the only downside to this.
That was why I hesitated for a moment and said, do you really want to go a month between meetings?
That's why I was thinking if you move the 26th to the 2nd, skip the 9th, and then go, you're only,
Okay, I mean, that may
That's where I
work,
was-
if you want to do that.
oh, I see, and then
that
just go
works.
back onto the
Instead
23rd,
of having
then,
the three,
right?
yeah,
So do 2nd and the 23rd?
right.
Oh, fine, sure.
That's cool.
that's cool.
Because then that doesn't keep it so far apart.
Sure.
And it kind of works out. I mean, John had some special requests on this, though. What was John's concerns?
No, we just had talked about the drop, and then we had sort of hatched out of the air, kind of, well, let's
The
look at
abyss.
the 3 weeks.
Out of the abyss.
Yeah, the 2, 16, and 30, because we had kind of the concern about going a month. Yeah, I think this also means you're not going a month between meetings.
Right, I think the 2 and 6, 2 and, what'd you say, Frank?
I was
2nd and
thinking,
23rd.
2 and 23rd.
right, and
Yeah,
then
that's
you
fine.
cancel the 9th.
Yep, that'd be, I'm real good with that.
Everybody in favor with that?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the meeting of the 26th of May is canceled, There will be a meeting of the Selectmen on the 2nd. There will not be the meeting of the 9th will be canceled, and then we will pick up as normal on the 23rd.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0.
You're gonna make the corrections on the webpage?
Yeah, I'll tweak the schedules and notices and all of the rest, so.
So the next meeting then will be the 2nd, and then the meeting after that will be the 23rd. At 6:02. Cancel. Okay. Next item then is under old business, health insurance, Mr. Hoke.
All right, so this is how I've been spending some of my spare bandwidth the past couple weeks. With the July renewing for our health insurance, I refined some of the numbers for the alternatives. On Thursday, I had a representative from the New Hampshire Interlocal Trust make a presentation to interested enrolled employees about their offering through Harvard Pilgrim. Based on the numbers I've received from the three trusts, this is the most competitive offer. The 6-month cost for the remainder of this year will save approximately $4,700 based on current enrollments. If the numbers held for all of 2015 between both trusts, obviously that's unlikely, but it's the best I can do for an apples-to-apples comparison. And noting that both trusts had an approximate 5% increase for this year. The annual savings by going to the interlocal trust would be about $24,000. And that it includes the anticipated increase in July 2015 of moving to the under 50 rating group for Health Trust. Per our contract, I am coordinating with Police Union. My recommendation, assuming that we have them on board, will be to transition to the interlocal trust effective September 1st of this year. We need to remain with Health Trust through the end of August in order to receive our return of surplus this year. Our contract with Health Trust allows for a 60-day notice of separation. Interlocal Trust is guaranteed the prices for the September 1st enrollment.
And the new company is willing to take us on September 1st.
Yes, in fact, it hadn't even occurred to me at first blush to do that, and it was a comment that they had made that they had several incoming members using that time frame. I think the rates were competitive. It basically wipes out any increase. We renew on July 1. The shift would basically wipe out just about all of the increase that we would see this year.
So, as a technical question, let me ask you this. You said there's a 60-day or a 90-day termination period on
There's a 60-day termination period.
So that means that you're gonna have to give that termination notice prior to their, I'll call it drop dead date, right?
I would need to give my termination notice beginning of July.
Yeah, by July 1st.
Right. So, Health Trust is going to know that we're gonna be leaving as a community.
Right.
Is that going to at all jeopardize? Is there anything in their documents, the fine print?
No. Because I went looking for that because we are still an active member during the period that they are paying the surplus back, and we are an active member paying our fees into the system at that point. As we would be paying July, August premiums to them. So we actually are going to end up with sort of a strange number this year. We're going to pay the slightly higher premium this year for July, August, and then we're going to back down to the lower premium in September.
Okay.
But the issue that I have is that all of those numbers are very small. If we walk away from Health Trust and don't get the return, those 2 returns of surplus, that's $16,000 we're leaving on the table.
Right.
That makes all of these other little numbers go up in smoke. So
Now, have you also talked to the bargaining unit about this?
yes, yeah.
There's not a problem there?
They are still. I'm still waiting for their final feedback. We brought them in. They've been part of the conversation from the start. They were here with the Harvard Pilgrim conversation because we do need to engage them on that. So what we have working to our advantage here is that we're offering a plan that has a lower premium that is not dramatically changing the offering we have at this point. Because when I was looking at just staying with Health Trust answer, I was looking at radically different plan design for next year because of the cost increase being so great.
So,
Mr. Lemire?
we would need to make a motion contingent upon approval of the bargaining unit,
Right, but when do you need this to be formalized?
June 30th.
Well, I will need it by the end of June in order to give that
So,
notice to Health Trust.
I guess my thinking is I'd like to defer until John gets back to give John an opportunity to weigh in on this.
That's fine, if we could do that, sure, then it'll give him
Yeah.
time to check with the bargaining unit.
And
But-
I'm waiting for them to get back. I mean, one change that I will initiate before that, unless, I'm getting strong indicators from bargaining unit that it's not gonna be the direction we're going, is right now Health Trust manages our flexible spending account, which has a July 1 renewal. We pay a quarterly maintenance fee to Health Trust for that. Interlocal Trust offers that service for free.
Would they take that on early?
They will, they use another third party for it. So, I would transition our flex spending to this third party. Worst case is, I'm paying the third party's admin fee for the year instead of Health Trust's admin fee.
How much?
Best case is I pay no fee at all. And no, I don't know yet how much the admin fee is, because this dawned on me Thursday afternoon as I was driving home, otherwise, because I can't start and stop that twice. So, I'm working on that right now.
Okay.
In general, these are small potatoes numbers. I mean, we pay a couple bucks a person to Health Trust per quarter. So the flex spending admin costs are generally pretty low.
We can defer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
You okay with deferring? The other question is that, two things. You were gonna try and come back also with the, I call it sensitivity analysis in terms of the deductibles.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to have something on that. The other thing
If
is.
you look at the charts I've provided, I've put all of that. There is no shortage of data on all of those sort of things. If you look at the included spreadsheet there.
If you can make sense of it.
Yeah, because I don't see anything on deductibles either. All I see is the co-pays for the prescriptions that are going up.
No,
Yeah.
co-pays for prescriptions are going down.
Well, that's what I was talking about, I think, at the last meeting. I'd like to
Right.
see some type of analysis done if.
They're
you know,
really not, because I already know this plan, because it's the plan I have. And Harvard Pilgrim pushes all their prescriptions to a different grade level than other insurance companies do.
Bear in mind that we don't buy a consumer plan. The plan we have through any of these is not offered to general consumers.
All right, well, the HP plan prescription pricing, 0 and 10, those are both gonna be a generic drugs.
Right.
The really plain petty ones is 0.
Right.
Anything else is 10. 20 is gonna be your first name brand, and then you have $30, which is your preferred name brand. Retail is what they don't wanna cover, which would be like inhalers, like I take, they'll be $120 a pop. Just so you know. That's what retail means. Whatever they decide they want to push off, anything that's excessive, chemo drugs, things like that.
In the plan that you have, that may be the case. In this plan, it is the 0, 10, 30, 60, or 40, 60.
It says 30 retail.
No, that is, retail there means when purchased at a retail pharmacy versus mail order. It's not a retail price.
As long as we're sure of that.
You might
Yeah,
want-
I am very sure of that. That is a problem of the shorthand of doing this. So we have two price groups. We have, if you run to your local Walgreens or CVS, it's one price, and if you do the mail order, which they prefer, it's cheaper.
Mail orders usually, and I have a mail order plan, it's significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
mine
I'm paying
Yeah.
like
As
$2
long
for
as I
some
get 90
prescription.
days of
and-
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you go to the pharmacy, it'd cost you $10,
Yeah,
$15.
and the price structure reflects that. You know, it will cost you more if you're in a mid or upper tier to run to your local
So-
pharmacy.
Would the board feel better about this if we spent a little bit more time on this at one of our future meetings to go over this
Sure.
in some detail?
And when John gets back, sure.
What I was thinking is if we can dedicate some significant time to this on the 2nd of
Yep.
June, does that work?
Because one of the questions that I'm gonna have, that you can prepare for, you might even know the answer now, is is there deductibles now? Will there be deductibles? And what's the renew date? Because we're really putting our employee at a bad spot if it ends on July 1st, and then we're starting over again in September.
The plans we offer now have no deductibles for anything in network or referred. There are in the point of service plans, there are some things where if you go out of network unreferred, you have deductibles. Those reset at calendar year.
Okay.
So actually, a move in September is to the employee's advantage probably rather than disadvantage in most cases, because all of the incentives run that way too. And the types of plans that we offer right now are not deductible heavy.
Okay.
If you look, and part of the reason that I could give you 1,000 options to entertain here. Part of the reason I tried to narrow the scope a little bit was, I'm trying to, the starting point first is moving from one provider and trust to another provider and trust. So getting sort of the buy-in at the apples to apples level.
No, I understand
Which is what I'm doing. Now, what I did show you, however, is when you look at that chart, you'll see something that says $20 renew. Under Health Trust.
Mhm.
Part of the comparison I looked at there was a bump up from the $5 to the $20 office visit level. Because that's sort of their most likely next plan piece that they offer. I did look at some deductible plans. The numbers did not make a lot of sense because of the amount of cost shift. So, I mean, if you look now, basically, to absorb the current increase in health trust costs on a monthly basis, in some cases, you're looking at going to that, from that $5 level to the $20 level, lets you basically stand where you are today. I think this continues to need to be something evolve. You'll see for the interlocal Harvard Pilgrim, I did show you pricing at a $10 copay level. The changes are not radically different there.
It's under the POS plans?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we offer a point of service plan and an HMO plan. So you'll see both of those numbers. The comparison is it shaves like $30-40 off a monthly premium.
Okay.
And so I mean, what I can, the the summary version that's probably the easiest to look at here is that annualized for 2015, we're looking at a $264,728 cost based on our current enrollment at the prices we have in hand today with Health Trust, and you're looking at a $240,948 bill with the interlocal trust, so about 9% less.
Okay. Any questions on this? So Jason, can we book some extended time on the 2nd to go over this?
Yes, if the board has questions or data that they'd like to see that are reasonable, if you can give me some of that input beforehand, because I have a lot of numbers, and as you can see, I can make this. Well, yeah, thanks. I can make this as confusing as possible. So, I mean, I'm trying to make this as simple as I can to go from one to the next, and if you want me to entertain lots of new plan designs, I can get as many plan designs and prices as you want, but you gotta kind of give me some advance on that. And I'll tell you, I backburned.
I'll be glad to start going through this in fine excruciating detail.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest that I backburnered a lot of chasing more complex plan design when I had an option present itself to me that basically wiped out the price increase we were looking at July 1 and wiped out the price increase that we would be facing next July 1. And that if you look at the other numbers, the third player, school care, they were so out of line that I didn't even entertain any further plan design with them.
Okay.
So, okay.
Anything else from the board on this one, or do we want to move on?
Move on.
Okay. Penachuk rate case.
Penachuk rate case. There is a tentative settlement reached. The likely rates will be slightly different than originally proposed, which is kind of par for the course for going through a rate review with PUC. We are still party to the case, and so we either need to withdraw, have council review all the documents associated with the settlement and make a recommendation. We joined at one point under the premise of, hey, the increase seems higher than we'd like it to be. The data going forward, there hasn't, and also to leave ourselves an opening if something appeared along the way in review that appeared to be, to the detriment of the community. That has not made itself apparent, but we are still the only municipality that's a party to this. So therefore, we need to figure out where we're going.
I thought this board had made a decision that we would not go anywhere with this, but we would maintain our interested party status and basically tell town council to back off of this.
And that's what we've done. The problem is we're now at the finish line, and because we are still party to it, we need to sign we either need to sign the agreement and say we agree to it, or we need to withdraw.
What does council say in terms of having any changes made?
Well, she
Going
said
forward?
she hasn't
Not right.
reviewed it yet.
She hasn't reviewed it because the direction was don't waste any time reviewing it. So, I mean, she sent me all the documents and I've skimmed through them. I mean, I shared her comment with you here is, do the selectmen wish me to review this and make a recommendation regarding assent? Town is still technically a party to the action. I browsed through the document, all of the attachments, and
Your thoughts are?
my thoughts are, the same problem I've been all along. I don't like the end result, but there is nothing that I can hang my hat on substantively that says this is unreasonable.
So will it cost us anything either way? Nothing. It'll cost us to have council review it,
Well, it'll cost you to have council review it.
but it will not cost us to withdraw.
It would seem to me that we could probably withdraw with a standard boilerplate document. I don't think it would be reasonable to have, council agree on our behalf, since we are a party to it, without reading the document and making that recommendation,
Okay.
What would the cost of review be?
Another hour or two. So
You're
what?
talking $300?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd suggest that we just have taking the default position, just have a review it.
I'll move that, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, discussion of the board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 400. So let's have a council review that and then provide the board with recommendation.
Recommendation.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Next item is property liability insurance. Why are we on this insurance kick, Jason?
Because they all renew at the same time, and boy, is it fun going through all this paperwork. I'm recommending renewing our property liability insurance with Property Liability Trust for one more year. Primex provided a quote that was about 10% higher. This was even after factoring in the discount that we received on workers' compensation. Through them, we took to get a multi-product discount. I cooled on securing a quote from commercial insurer, given the volume of application paperwork required and the difference in types of coverage. There would be major differences between private commercial insurance and pooled liability. And I couldn't see sufficient savings to warrant making that kind of change without a lot of analysis. Most local governments in the state are covered by one of the two pools now. So, that said, I would again recommend reviewing those rates again next year and the experience of any municipalities that may move to the commercial market. In addition, I would expect Primex's rate to be more competitive next year. Part of this is, looking at the claims history that they're using on all of this, is including payments related to the treasurer situation a few years ago. Those are still live and factored into our rate. As those start dropping off, our experience, our more recent experience is much stronger and should yield a better rate. So, looking for the authorization to enter into renewal confirmation with Property Liability Trust. It is worthwhile pointing out that this agreement is technically a 2-year agreement, but fiscal year 2016 coverage can be canceled without penalty with notice 45 days before July 1st, 2015.
So Chairman, I'll move that we authorize the town administrator to enter into a renewal confirmation agreement with Property Liability Trust for our insurance coverage.
We have a motion. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lemire, a second by Mr. Bork. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 400. So Jason, you may move ahead with that and as you wish. Next item on the agenda is paving projects.
Projects, just a quick update there that we've done some projects. We got most of the projects done. I apologize if you're looking on the site for some reason. Picture rotation is not so friendly, so if you're looking at pictures, we did not paint, we did not pave, we did not turn Masco upside down when we paved it. But if you've been out to Masqua, Stark, McElwain, some parts of Nessun, things look pretty good. The Mike Lane project will be starting on Wednesday. That one's been much more complex. A road agent has been meeting with residents out there to sort through some of their issues. I think that sort of hands-on approach has worked really well there. As part of the construction, Ivy Way is going to be closed from Renissa to Mike Lane for construction staging. This actually works very nicely because there is one driveway that opens on Ivy Way, and so the plan is to put the barriers behind that one driveway. So the construction vehicles will be able to stage safely. And that will be the next big project to see underway.
When is, and I think there was a question that was on the Twitter feeds or Facebook, I forget which, about this. When is the second half of stock gonna be done, did you say?
I don't know yet. It will be done, Jack and I have been talking about the second half of Stark, either being done, later this year or beginning of next year. The later this year scenario is based on availability of funds on that. You know, as we've worked through his whole budget, he left some space to cover the unknown. We also don't know, we've budgeted an amount for Mike that is construction plus contingency. If everything goes smoothly, we may have some space. So the theory is, if there's available funds, we'd like to do Stark this year and finish it off. If not, it will be the lead project for next year
Okay.
to do that last part.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, then we move on. Selectmen reports. Are there selectmen who wish to file a report?
I have none, Mr. Chair.
Paul?
You need-
No? Just as an update then, I attended the planning board meeting of last week, and there was a significant amount of work on rewriting the impact fee ordinances. That continues on. The developers are looking to take out that cul-de-sac on Moose Hollow. You guys may be aware of that it's in the middle of the road doing nothing. And they're gonna start to put reminders into the developers who had committed to do that this summer. So that'll be underway.
You know that was voted to stay in.
Well, they voted to have it taken out, the planning board.
Did they notice the people on Moose Hollow about that?
People are looking to have it taken out, yeah. It's my understanding.
Because before the extension was put in, or the new section we'll call it, it was the 4 houses all at the end of that street. I know 2 of them have moved out,
Mhm.
but it was those 4 houses that those people were insistent upon keeping it there.
You know, I can only tell you that the feedback that the planning board has received is that people are looking to have it taken out.
Okay.
The other thing, just to make you aware, Mr. Bork, is the following meetings have been canceled for the planning board. The meeting of June 17th, the meeting of July 1st, and the meeting of August 19th have all been canceled by the planning board. So that's June 17th, July 1st, and August 19th. Anything else on selectmen reports? Hearing none, no items have been moved from consent. Other business, Pennachuck Water. I received a notice today from Pennachuck that said that the town is now going on odd even days. So if you're on Pennachuck Water, if you want to water your lawn, you can go on, you have to do it on odd even days depending upon your house number. I thought it was kind of odd that I got that, not that I lived at an odd address, because I don't, but that's another issue. So I did some investigating on it, and I called Pennachuck, and they told me I'd have to talk to the town. I said, well, it just so happens I'm a selectman, and I don't know anything about it, so I'm asking you the question. And they said that Hudson had not gone on to an odd even day schedule, which I found interesting. So I asked if I could have an operations manager call me, and then hung up the phone, and then called Hudson, and I talked to the water department in Hudson. They said, yeah, we don't start going on to a restricted use until
Midsummer.
June. I said, okay, that's fascinating. So my phone rang, and who was it? It was Mr. Ware, Don Ware from Pennachuck, who said, they're on it, I know they're on it, and everything else. He says, it's on their website. So I said, well, here's the situation. I said, I called up, your people said that they weren't on it. Further along the line, I called the Hudson Water people, talked to them directly, and they said they're not on it. So something's not right here. And he said, well, I'll look into this further, because it doesn't make sense that Litchfield should be on it and Hudson shouldn't be on it. He called in and spoke to the town manager. In the meantime, I advised Mr. Hope that I was stirring the pot in the background, and in case he started receiving urgent phone calls, he'd know what it's all about. And the long and the short of it is, the Hudson Town Manager said that in 2003, the Hudson Board of Selectmen had made a motion that was binding year to year, so starting April 1st of every year until, I think it's October 1st, they're on even odd watering system. And that's
Really?
automatically. And it just so happened, apparently the person I spoke to in the water department didn't know about that. And he said that he would go get it straightened out with the water department. So that's the latest information I have.
Wow.
So you're spreading as much joy to my colleagues as you're spreading to me.
Even more so. So that's the deal. If you have questions on it and you hear information as to why Hudson isn't on it, I'm still not sure at 100%, other than the fact that they're supposed to be it. They may not still be on it, but that's what's going on. Okay, anything else? Any other business that the board needs to conduct?
I have a question.
Sir?
Jason, when we extended your contract, to what date was that to?
I think it's the end of May.
Want to make sure that we don't run out of a contract with somebody that we kind of need to have in place.
Yeah, we'll just keep it rolling until ended. I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna schedule you a special meeting just for my contract.
So you want us to meet on Memorial Day?
Yeah,
We'll be meeting at the,
yes,
At the
if
middle
you're
school?
meeting on Memorial Day, I'll have no need to renew my contract. No, we're close, I'm fine, I'm not gonna, as long as we all understand, we're gonna spill into June with it. I'm okay with that. Nothing else changed, you know, basically the last extension you did, I'm like, yeah, just keep everything unchanged till you sort it out.
And I'm assuming you're talking to Mr. Brunel on this?
Yes,
When will Mr. Brunel bring this to the rest of the board?
hopefully when Mr. Brunel gets back from vacation.
That would be a good thing.
should we, for the record, just extend it another 30 days or so, just to be,
If you'd like to. Yeah, the document we have now, it goes through June 1st.
So can we write a quick addenda to that to make it June 30th?
We can.
So moved.
We have a motion.
second?
We have a second. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0. So extend that to the 30th of June. And that should be it in terms of business. Is there any other business on the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 4-0-0. We are adjourned as of 7:26.